Greetings and welcome back to Room 303. This is the second in a four-part lecture tutorial for Room 303, Moreland High School. I want to remind you that you should have out right now, just like in Lecture 1, you should have out now a blank sheet of paper and a writing utensil. You should be doing what we call flowing this lecture, that is to say, taking notes of this lecture. Remember what we said in the first lecture, you got to have evidence. So in other words, it's not enough for you to say, dude, I watched the lectures on Learn Strong. Way wrong answer. You've got to have some evidence. Where are your notes? Did you write anything down? That's what we call flowing the lecture. The second thing I want to remind you is that I can get you some plus points on your test sheet. You always like that. If you can watch these lectures, for example, with your significant other parent, or recommend that your significant other parent watch these lectures, some or all four of them, and then just write a note and sign off that it was done before our 303 exam day that will happen at the end of the first full week of school. You should also have right now, if you don't pause and go grab it, you should have your student planner, you should have your course outline, you should have your master schedule checkoff sheet, and of course that course outline and that master schedule checkoff sheet is available as well as a digitized copy right there on the home page of Learn Strong. Of course, you should have hard copies of that. Let's talk for a few moments now, just to bridge off of what our comments were in the previous lecture about this notion of intentionality. I'm going to begin this lecture with a word picture. I'm going to end this lecture with a word picture because I think word pictures are a way for it to kind of stay in our mind. I have a pal. His name is Jay, and he was a very brilliant guy, married, had a great life. He was working on a PhD at a prestigious university. And one morning he's shaving, and his wife says to him, "Honey, what's that bump on your neck?" And he said, "I don't know. I've had it for a few weeks." And she said, "Well, you better get it checked out." He's like, "Yeah, later." A few weeks later, she said, "I think that thing's getting larger." Sure enough, went into the doctor. The doctor, said, "We got to do tests, right away." And Jay said, "Yeah, I'm kind of busy." "No, I mean," she said, "I mean right now." At the end of several hours of testing, she came in and she said to him, "I got really bad news for you. That thing in your neck, it's cancer. It's thyroid cancer, and you're in a bad way." And of course, Jay immediately asked the question that any of us who've ever had any experience with cancer will always say the same thing: is it the kind that kills you? As if there's another kind, right? And then the doctor said something really interesting to Jay. Jay's kind of a joker, and so later he kind of pointed out the humor of the question. The doctor said, "Would you like to take that out?" Jay imagined after the fact when he was relaying the story to me, imagining saying, No, that's okay, leave it in. I always wanted to know what it was like to just have a few weeks to live." Of course, he said, "I want it out." And the doctor said, "Well, here's why, because it's going to take some major surgery, and in the end, you may never speak again, and you could die." So signing papers, Jay said the fear of laying on that bed as they rolled him into the room, holding onto his wife's hand, the lights over his head. And for several hours, they did surgery on him. Obviously, I would be telling the story if there wasn't a happy ending to it. He came out, he could speak, and in fact, he was fine, and went on to become a very well-known professor at a prestigious university. But as he told his story, the thought occurred to me, and this is why I'm beginning with this word picture now with you, that every year I have students who will come into my room and they will say things to me like the following: "Man, I hate to read." And I'll say, "Oh, okay, so let me give you a book to read." No, you didn't hear me, dude. "I hate to read." "Oh, really bad, really bad. In fact, I'm not even sure I know how to read." "Well, then I better give you 2 books." Or, I hate to write." "Oh, well then let's start writing." "I'm very disorganized, and the procrastination thing for me is a killer. I thought I was going to quit procrastinating, but I kept putting it off." That kind of thing. All of us have this thing in our neck, what we will call academic deficiencies, if you will. It was interesting, Jay said, after the surgery, he had to go to treatments, and he had to do that work in a cancer center. He walked in, and this woman, he didn't even know him, just walked up to him and said, "Where's yours?" He said, "I beg your pardon?" She said, Where's yours?" And then immediately it hit him. "Oh yeah, I'm in a cancer ward. Everybody in here has cancer." On the outside, Jay said, I had to kind of pretend like I didn't have cancer, it wasn't bothering me or whatever. He said, "In this room, though, we're all in the same boat," he said. Pointing to his neck, and she pointed to her breast. And again, it hit me. if we really think well about schools, we should think about schools as the place, like a cancer ward, where we all come to take this thing out of our neck. Notice earlier in the story, as I was telling it, several of you laughed when I said, no, leave it in, right? If we have academic deficiencies, in room 303, we talk about it as being a warrior and a scholar. You've got to have the courage to be able to actually admit that you have this thing in your neck, and then, of course, take it out. Honesty and courage, of course, then are necessary for this work. I like to think about it this way. Imagine that you're a young football player, so excited to get into the game. You've never gotten into the game. You're sitting on the bench, and all of a sudden the coach screams out your name. Where are you? Where are you? You know, you jump up. You're so excited. You get in there, get in there. You know, so in you run. You just sprint in, right? And, you know, all the stands are full of people. And you sprint in, stand in the huddle. So excited. You finally get in your first play of varsity football. All of a sudden, you look up and they're all looking at you in the huddle. Your buddy, who's so excited for you as well, but had this strange look on his face, and he says to you, dude, are you going to wear a helmet for this play? Oh, you were so excited to get in that you forgot to grab your helmet. Now you turn around. Of course, the coach is turning 14 shades of purple, and it's time out, you know, all that. And now you get to in front of all those fans. You get to walk back to the sideline to grab your helmet. You can't play football without a helmet. You can't do 303 and most academic classes without supplies, utensils. Okay? So as we get into this conversation, we're going to talk about how to show up to 303 ready to go to work, to be intentional. Again, once we're intentional, then we can be random. We can be creative once we are intentional. Let's talk about this keyword, and I hope you write it down, the master schedule. This is a term we're going to use regularly in 303, and so you want to know what it means. The simplest definition of master schedule is just to call it our plan for success. Have you thought about this? You might write it down. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Think about that. Master scheduling involves, in the broadest strokes, knowledge of two things. You want to write this down. This is crucial. First of all, what's due? And we mean specific. It's not enough to just know that there's an exam coming next week. We need to know exam over what material, specifically what's due. And then, of course, the second one, when. It's not enough to know that an exam is coming. We have to know the exam is not just coming next week, but we need to know what day it's coming next week. The key for us to answer both of these questions for our master schedule construction is, of course, the course outline. And I hope that you're looking at yours right now, or you can go online to learnstrong.net and you can be looking at your course outline there for you. At the beginning of class, always a course outline is given to the student, and the student then will reference this course outline for the entire semester. It's crucial that you have one and that you're always referencing it. Let's talk about real quickly how to read the course outline. Go ahead and look at yours real quickly with me. Notice on the course outline, you have several things provided for you. First of all, always the date is provided. That's crucial. Second of all, you've got pages, and those pages relate to your textbook or your anthology, sometimes what I'll refer to as the hymnal. Okay? And those, it's important, and you want to write this down right now. All the assignments are listed. Everything is provided for you. Annotations, exams, your read-write packets that are due for assessments, your AR testing, your My Access writing assignments. Everything is there. You hold in about 3 or 4 pages all of the work that will be assigned for the entire semester, right there on the course outline. Now this is crucial, and you want to write this down in your flowing as well. The work listed on the date provided is the day the work is due when you come into 303. Remember our conversation in Lecture 1, right? You have to get the work done before you come to class, unless, of course, you're part of that no-fail or the NF group, which is only taking a 60 for the semester, and therefore is just going to show up to class with work for that day, all right? And that means usually no homework outside of class, all right? Now, there are multiple parts for the master schedule deadline, and we want to kind of pay attention to each one of these, all right? So we're going to have at the end of our first complete week of school a master schedule checkoff as part of our 303 exam. You want to be referencing that now. Again, it's available for you as a digitized copy on LearnStrong if you don't have it in front of you. Okay? Now, if you'll pay attention to that master schedule deadline, as we're calling it, okay, we've got several parts to this thing in terms of checkoffs. All right, go ahead and look at it now with me. The first part of a master schedule deadline for us is very simple. You're going to take out your student planner. I hope you have it in front of you now. You're going to take all of the deadlines from the course outline and you are going to write them into your student planner on the day they are assigned. Okay, all the deadlines simply written right out of the from the course outline right into your day planner, your student planner. Okay, and of course that student planner is then going to come with you all the time, every time. By the way, if you're looking at your student planner now and you haven't written your name several different places on that planner, I'd recommend you do that right now. You can even stop the video and do it, because once you get all this information in your student planner, you do not want to lose it, okay? So you're going to write all of that information down. You're also going to write down in that student planner, by the way, any of the activities that you constitute as extracurricular activities. If you're, for example, on ball trips or whatever, you want to write all that information down in your day planner, okay, in your student planner. If you work, okay, and you know that you're going to have to work certain things, you want to have that written down. If you know you're going to go on vacation, for example, during the semester, and your parents are going to be taking you out of school, you want to write that down right away and maybe even highlight it, all right? Part 2 of the master schedule is a different way to look at the workload of 303. You're going to sit down at your computer and you're going to type up a page or two listing all of the major graded deadlines, okay? In other words, any work that's going to come due for the semester, you want to know what that work is by headings, and those headings are all listed for you there, I know. You're going to jot down the annotative work, so you'll just have the word annotation, and you're just going to list what annotations are due for the semester. You're going to take a look at your reading, writing assessment packets. When are they due? What pages do they cover? The exams that you have. For example, it's a good question to ask. In our class, how many actual exams do we have and what do they cover? The AR, the accelerated reading, is associated with certain novels that you're asked to read. What are those novels? You usually are handed those on the first day of, or in the first week of class. And when am I expected, for example, to have all those novels finished? So, for example, if there were 4 or 5 novels that were handed out on the first day, do I have to have all of those read by next week? You don't. You don't. You'll know when you need to have those read by because you're looking at them on the course outline. Also, of course, the My Access writing assessments are also there for you. So you'll want to make sure that you just type this underneath headings. Okay? If you need further clarification on this, obviously you can always come and ask me, or of course your study buddy. The third part of the master schedule deadline is the rules sheet. Again, you've already received a copy of this, so there is a copy online as well, a digitized copy. You can lose it, you guys print it, that you have to sign and that your significant parent has to sign. Part 4 of the master schedule are the typed goals. Now this is real simple. You're going to look at 3 areas: reading, writing, and organization. You're going to have headings. And then I just want you to bullet point 3 things that you want to concentrate on this semester. At given points in the semester, we're going to ask ourselves, am I improving? Am I growing? Goal setting is crucial for success of any kind. Certainly goal setting is crucial for our success in Room 303. As a reader, how do you want to improve? For some of us, it's going to be simply reading speed. For some of us, it's going to be comprehension. For some of us, it's vocabulary. Okay? For some of us, it's quite frankly that monkey mind we were talking about, that inability to focus. Dude, I start reading and then I kind of like forget and stuff. For some of us, the ability to admit that we haven't been good readers for a long time. Do you remember? For some of us, when we were very young, maybe 5th grade, the teacher said we're going to read this story together silently in class, ready, go. And you started reading and you realized everybody else was turning the page long before you were. And so what did you do? You just flew down the page really quickly, turned over the page, flew down the page really quickly, turned over the page, flew down, finished, shut the book, done. Everybody looked at you. Whoa, you're a fast reader, dude. Yes, I am. By the time you hit high school, you have to admit out loud, the thing in your neck is, you can't read real well. So for you, the goal is to improve in the reading. On the writing side, for some of us, it's maybe for some of us, it's hard to get started. We have writer's block. We got to overcome that. For some of us, it's I write it. I got no problem writing it. I just want to hit a print key and be done with it. I don't want to do any revision or editing work, and we're going to have to improve on that. For some of us, quite frankly, it's the issue of vocabulary. We're going to have the same possible goal in our reading as well. For many of us, we haven't improved our vocabulary much since we were in middle school, quite frankly. And because that's the case, you could take a typed copy of something you wrote in 7th grade and something you would now write, and often you can't tell much difference because the vocabulary is going to be about the same. For some of us, it's grammatical issues, mechanics, and usage. For some of us, it's spelling, you know. We're not real good spellers, and so maybe we want to work on that. You're going to bullet point down 3, and then finally, the third category here for your goal setting will be under organization. How are you going to overcome, for example, issues of procrastination? Some of us will say as a goal, I'm going to actually try to use my day planner. Some of us have in the past maybe done this where we put information in the day planner, but then we didn't use it. A student once said, I need a day planner to remind me to use my day planner. Got me. So in other words, for some of us, it's just the ability to be able to actually overcome our procrastination by scheduled routine study. I once had a student that said he loved to play video games, that he wasn't going to do any video game playing until he got all his homework done, and that was simply a goal. And at parent-teacher conferences, the mother of this student came in and said to me, "What did you do to my kiddo? I don't understand." I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." No, it's got something to do with, he comes home, he does it. I mean, always he turned on the video game and played videos. Now he goes and he sits down for a half an hour, gets the homework done before he will turn on the video camera. I don't understand. What did you say to him? I said, it's got nothing to do with me. She goes, no, it's got something to do. I said, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with your son has this thing in his neck. Of course, I had to explain it to her, right? In other words, your son had the honesty to admit that he hasn't been very disciplined as a student, so he's trying to do better. And so this is one of the ways that he does it, right? So for at least 30 minutes, he's going to do homework before he goes to the thing he really loves to do, playing video games, right? In other words, he has the courage now to try and take this thing out of his neck. That's why I love that word picture. The last part of the master schedule deadline is what we call the student survey. You received this. There's on the first day. There's also a copy online for you. Make sure that you are filling out the one for your class, whether you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Basic information that I need to help me do my job. Asks you a little bit about your goals, asks you a little bit about maybe some of your educational history. Some of that information that is on that handout, that survey, you're going to have to get from our school counselors or maybe from the secretaries in the front office. Now, as we said, you can't play football without a helmet, so you got to have some supplies when you come into 303. The expectation is you always show up with these supplies. They are listed for you right there on that master schedule checkoff sheet. They're also there on the goals, on the rules sign sheet. Let's go through them really quickly. Obviously, your student planner with all your assignments in there, that's what we call master schedule part 1. You got to have a 3-ring notebook with lined notebook paper. I recommend about 200 sheets of paper. You're going to use probably more than that, but to have that in your notebook, all right? So get yourself a pretty good sized, maybe 3-inch at least notebook, all right? You're going to need at least 3 dividers. 4 is even better, but at least 3 dividers. And then those 3 dividers always divided up into the appropriate order. So in everybody's notebook, the very first section will be what we call the master schedule section. Here you're going to keep your course outline. You're going to obviously keep your master schedule part 2 and part 4 here. You're also going to keep your school calendar that was given to you. That's that 1-page calendar. Some of you like to just mark off day by day when our day is finished or at the end of weeks. You're going to put any extracurricular schedules. For example, if you play volleyball, good idea to put your schedule right there in that master schedule section. And then any other papers that I might give to you that are instructional in nature, you're going to put those there. All right? The second section of your notebook will be your annotation section. Here you're going to keep all of your active, that is to say you're not yet turned in annotations. And the third section is going to be your writing assessment stuff. And here, of course, you're going to keep all of your active papers. That is to say anything you haven't turned in. The fourth divider, and some students will actually go to another second notebook that they keep at home for this, is just old stuff, okay? Don't throw anything away. But for example, every test sheet, I recommend that once it's been given a score by my green ink, back to lecture 1, I recommend that you keep all of your test sheets in the master schedule section of your notebook. That way, if there's any discrepancies, problems, or whatever, you've got it there, all right? You're going to need some writing utensils, and for sure you want to be bringing this as early as even tomorrow. Of course, you're going to need, and I always say 2 because the possibility that one goes bad. 2 blue or black ink pens, I don't care which color. 2 red ink pens, put a star next to that one, mandatory because we do so much with red ink in here. 2 mechanical pencils, and the idea here is at least to have 1 mechanical pencil, because when we take our exams, we take them on Scantrons, and you got to use pencil lead, all right? I also recommend some kind of a flash drive for yourself, external drive, because all of the typing that we do at school, and we do quite a bit of it, you want to be able to save it and have a backup. At home, don't just rely on your hard drive. Always have a second backup of any paper, because computers going down cannot be a legitimate excuse for why you don't hand in a writing assessment to me, all right? So obviously you want to start early with the planning so that you're getting papers done way in advance. Your textbook that I've given to you costs a lot of money, so you want to make sure that it's covered when you are bringing it to school with you. When you're using it at school and at home, make sure it's always covered. Very expensive to replace those things, into the hundreds of dollars, so you want to make sure you take good care of the book. Always bring with you as well your next AR novel, okay? Because if we have any downtime and we're doing what we call sustained silent reading, you want to make sure that you've got your novel with you. I also would always ask that you bring with you a set of headphones, small ones, or if you want larger ones, because we periodically will actually listen to or watch material with our mobile lab in 303, and I want you to be able to obviously not be a distraction to other students, okay? So I want you to be sure that you are able to listen, all right? For example, some of these lectures you may actually watch here at Worland High School, and obviously I want you to be able to do that with headphones in, all right? A water bottle is crucial. Make sure that it is a capped bottle. That is to say, make sure that it has the ability to be closed. We do not allow open containers in room 303 because if they fall, then of course this creates problems for our janitors. And again, back to our respect rule, we always want to show respect to the people who keep our building looking so well. Ruthie and her gang work really hard. We want to show respect to them, which is why we'll never, for example, write on our tabletops or disfigure in any way our school property, okay? Finally, you want to make sure that you have a small calculator or a phone so that we can run our numbers. Anytime we write any scores on our Mega record sheet, we always want to be able to run our numbers, and so that's crucial for us. And then a small backpack. We do a lot of migration in 303, both inside the room and outside of the room. And so you want to make sure that everything that you have for supplies is inside of a small backpack, and you will bring that. We sit at community tables, and we try and keep as much as we can the tabletops clear, so everything is in the backpack sitting right next to your feet on the floor. All right? Let's talk real quickly about what we will call the Wednesday Master Schedule Review. This is critical. You want to have this in your notes now. At the beginning of every Wednesday class, we adjust a little bit our instruction model. I mean, we still do our 10 minutes of focused silent work. But then instead of immediately going to instruction, we always do what we call the Master Schedule Review. Here, I will amplify what's on the course outline that you have written into your day planner as Master Schedule Part 1. Whereas, for example, on the course outline, it might just say a range of pages. I will tell you specifically what I want you to do with those pages. For example, do I want you to answer questions at the end of the reading, etc., etc. And so I will talk, you will simply write down, and we work through the rest of that week, Thursday, Friday, and then all of the following week, Monday through Friday of the following week. And so you're actually amplifying what your information you've already put in your day planner in Part 1 of Master Schedule, okay? You always want a study buddy. Put a star next to this concept. You always want to have a couple of study buddies, people who are in class getting the information for you if you're not here. That's hypercritical on Wednesdays. So for example, if you know you're going to be gone, one of the reasons I do it on Wednesdays is there's not a lot of absences on Wednesdays, but if you know you're going to be gone for whatever reason, you've got an ortho appointment or whatever, make sure you have somebody sitting in class who will take care of that information for you so that when you return, you can get that information written down. So your first question when you come back is never going to be, Mr. McGee, what did I miss? Whoa, 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 way wrong answer. It was a 50-minute class session, and you're asking me to go through all of that. You start always with a study buddy. What did I miss yesterday? Oh, we did the Master Schedule Review. Oh, good, I need to get that written down. Of course, at the end of each class session, we also will do a real brief Master Schedule Review. But on Wednesday, we're always looking forward. We're always trying to pay attention to at least a week and a half out, or even further, so that we can be sure that we don't allow those waves that I talked about earlier to start hitting us and knocking us off balance, all right? So there's an introduction to the Master Schedule. I want to finish now with a couple of quick observations and a word picture. You need to write this down. You will fail this class if you do not use a Master Schedule. There's just too much work involved. There are too many expectations. And if you do not have some idea okay, you will struggle. Now again, our no-fail policy says that you won't fail as long as you're here. But even though you're here, there's work that you have to do. In other words, you don't just get to show up and just be a bump on a log and just sit here. You obviously got to be working, and because you have to be working, you kind of need to have some sense even then of master schedule. Key, if you don't understand, ask. First the study buddy, and then of course Mr. McGee, okay? Very important. 3, you want to make sure that you use LearnStrong. LearnStrong.net, great help for you, okay? Because if information is lost or whatever, you can always go there. Finally, I want to talk real quickly about the essence of learning, because I think we forget this sometimes. I always like to tell this story of my kiddo Mikey, a little boy at the time, wanted a bike. I brought home the bike. The bike had training wheels on the back, and he said, take the wheels off, they make me look dumb. And I said, son, that's to help you learn how to ride a bike. He got on the bike, he started to tip. Why do we grab hold tighter when we're falling? I don't know. But grabs, and then all of a sudden catch, like, see, I said, training wheels, right? He's a demon bike rider with his little training wheels all over the place. I remember the Saturday afternoon, watching a ball game. He comes in, he says, Dad, I say, what? He says, I think I'm ready to learn how to ride my bike without my training wheels. I said, cool. A couple of days later, he's out with his mom in the van. He comes home. I'm standing there next to the bike without the training wheels. My Mikey gets out of the car. He's like, "What are we doing?" I said, "Hey! Today's perfect day. We're going to learn how to ride our bike today without our training wheels. Mom's going to get out the camera. We're going to videotape. This is going to be awesome." My Mikey, he is scared. He has no interest in it. Today is not a very good day. I don't think today. What are you talking about? Today is perfect. Come on. I asked Mike, I said, what is the problem? And he said, you told me you wanted to do this. He said, yeah, I don't want to do this. I said, why not? Because I'm afraid I'm going to fall down, it's going to hurt. I said, oh, son, you got no idea. We're about to go out here. You're going to ride. You're going to fall down. You're going to jack yourself something awful. It's going to be great. Let's go. This is what we've forgotten. All learning experiences involve two things that we have to remember: fear and pain. We've forgotten this. We've forgotten this as students. We've forgotten this as parents. We've forgotten this often as teachers. The reality is, we're going to have to overcome some fear and some pain. So there we go, out to the road. We got this on video. It's awesome. Out to the road. You know how you do this? You grab hold, right, of the seat. You got hold of the handle. I'm whispering to Mikey, dude, it's going to be fine. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. And all of a sudden I say to him, Mikey, he goes, what? I go, son, you're going to have to paddle. I ain't going to push you all the way around the block. So he starts paddling. Sure enough, he's doing it. I let him go. It's awesome, right? But you know what's coming, right? Now here's the deal. Mikey knew how to use his brakes. Rotate it backwards. Mikey knew about the curb that the city engineer had put there. He knew about it. He had seen it before. He hits the curb over, crashes, elbows, knees. It was a beautiful jack. It was beautiful, beautiful. I come running up. I go, Mikey, dude, you rode. It's awesome. My Mikey is so mad. He's got his little blade knees pushed up. He's pushed the bike off of him. He's crying a little bit. He's looking at me, and I go, what's up? And he goes, stupid jerk. He's mad at me. Yeah, he's not mad at himself for forgetting how to use his brakes. He's not mad at the city engineer for putting a curb there. He's mad at me. The reality, of course, is that all teachers and parents, of course, understand this. That sooner or later, when you try and fail, you're going to look for somebody to blame other than yourself. But there will come a point when finally you have matured enough that you do not need a teacher or a parent to take off your training wheels. You can do it on your own. That's the challenge that I'm making to you here as we begin our semester together. Understand there will be failure, there will be falling, there will be pain. It takes a lot of courage to take this thing in our neck out. But keep at it, and you will be rewarded. Thank you.